To many little creatures, birds are brutal and merciless. To human beings, only the larger ones, those perched atop the food chain, that can kill and tear apart larger victims, are worthy of the name birds of prey. In ornithology, birds of prey that are active in the day belong to the order Falconiformes. These include such predatory birds as eagles, vultures, buzzards, kites, and falcons. Taiwan has a surface area of 36,000 square kilometers, 86% of which is mountainous. The verdant forests of this western Pacific island are home to numerous birds and a necessary stopover for countless migratory birds. Some of these birds spend the winters or summers here. There are more than 450 species of wild birds in Taiwan. Some of these birds are as part of our lives as we are of theirs. Large, fierce birds of prey are no exception. About 30 species of diurnal birds of prey have been officially recorded from Taiwan. Most of these are categorized as spring and autumn transients and winter visitors. There are at least 6 species of residents inhabiting the forest area in Taiwan. Despite disturbances, such as human development, the forests of Taiwan are home to the most common birds of prey. The crested serpent eagle, the crested goshawk, and the Bezra sparrowhawk. The black kites prefer to soar above bodies of water, including the coasts, marshes, river mouths, reservoirs, and fishing ports. The black eagle and the Hodgson's hawk eagle can only be seen occasionally. The black eagles have all black feathers, while the hawk eagles are cream-colored. They both prefer deep, sparsely populated mountains. We can see the transients, such as the Chinese goshawk and the gray-faced buzzard eagles. Inyang Bagua is an activity held annually at Bagua Mountain in Changhua County. This activity and the bird-watching activities held on the Hongchuan Peninsula between March and April are both the important bird festivals in Taiwan. They prefer to select a suitable valley to spend the night after they've flown all the way from the north to the Hongchuan Peninsula. They will continue their travel in the early morning of the next day. They will fly through the Philippines, Indonesia, and finally Malaysia, where they will stay for the winter. The journey back will be in March and April of the following year. Most of the gray-faced buzzard eagles will stop off in the forest of the Bagua Mountains, which are located in central Taiwan. The sight of their flying in mass flocks is simply impressive, especially as the setting sun shines on the flocks circling above the skyline. No wonder bird watchers in Taiwan for over 20 years always look forward to the arrival of the gray-faced buzzard eagles. Some of the populations of birds of prey, such as the common kestrel, the osprey, the marsh harrier, and honey buzzard, are winter visitors to Taiwan. The nocturnal raptors, the owls, are completely different to the diurnal predatory birds. Most of them come out after sunset. They are predators to the creatures hidden in the dark. When the night comes after sunset, owls, the rulers of the night skies, are just stretching their wings. Owls have everything other birds of prey have, plus an acute pair of eyes, fashioned for use in the faint light of night. An owl can quietly swoop down in the dark and seize its victim with its sharp talons. Owls are members of the Strigiformes. The Lanyu Scops owl is an endemic race discovered on Orchid Island. This lovely creature is a mountain Scops owl. The collared Scops owl is regularly seen around human habitation, where big trees still exist. All three are typical owls and are the most commonly seen and heard in Taiwan. They are highly skilled nocturnal hunters. The distinctive whistle-like shriek of the mountain Scops owl is often heard resonating through valleys at night. The Lanyu Scops owl, referred to by its local name of Dudu'u, can only be found on a small island. Usually they are active only at night. We can occasionally hear their typical sounds come out in the daytime during the mating season. Only twice the size of a sparrow, the collared owlet is active both day and night. It's such a cute, round, and tiny raptor, according to the owl families. savage yet elegant birds of prey are well-equipped hunters. With keen eyes, finely tuned to lock on targets, and hooked beaks adapted to shred flesh, these predators perch atop the food chain. Their menu includes certain reptiles, other birds, fish, as well as small and even medium-sized mammals. Other than the black kite, the crested goshawk and the Bezra sparrowhawk spend long periods of time circling in the air to guard their territories. Most of them conserve energy by quietly biding their time on branches high above the ground as they wait for targets to prey upon. This crested serpent eagle stalks snakes in the forest, while the Bezra sparrowhawks hunt birds. These two individuals tend to be exclusive eaters. The black kite feeds mainly on pieces of flesh found floating in the water. This floating black kite is so graceful above the water of the harbor. The honey buzzard's diet consists mainly of bees, wasps, and their waxen larvae. They follow homing bees back to their hives or to an apiary to feast on the residents therein. This injured honey buzzard is on its road to recovery in the Wildlife First Aid Center of the Taiwan Endemic Species Research Institute. Its unique fine-hooked beak facilitates digging the larvae out of the honeycomb one by one. Diets consisting of animal flesh tend to be rich in proteins and hard to digest bones. Birds of prey spatter white droppings on the ground and vomit the indigestible remains of their meals as pellets. The contents of their pellets are important materials for understanding their dietary habits. This equipment beneath the nests of the serpent eagle is set up for collecting the pellets. Obviously, setting up high platforms from which to observe and record the raising of the young for long periods of time provides much more first-hand data on the habits and habitats of Taiwan's native birds of prey. As a result, these will also benefit the conservation efforts on biodiversity. This platform, erected of bamboo by the personnel of the Taiwan Endemic Species Research Institute, is up to the same height as the nest of the Bezra sparrowhawk to facilitate observation. Behind this temporary blind, photographers can easily take pictures of the crested goshawks while it's building a nest without disturbance. This shelter is located on a rock face on a coral reef, set up to study the breeding behavior of the crested serpent eagle. With the efforts of academia and the Taiwan Endemic Species Research Institute, we have more information about the breeding habits of these three, the most common birds of prey in Taiwan. The size of the nests of the crested goshawk and the Besra sparrowhawk are between 30 and 40 centimeters in diameter. The Besra sparrowhawk usually raises broods of 3 or 4 young. While the crested goshawk raises only 2 within each clutch. Lizards, small mammals, and other birds are favorite dishes of the crested goshawk and its young. The size of the nest of the crested serpent eagle is quite huge, with a diameter of 60 to 70 centimeters. Snakes are the staple diet of the serpent eagle. They generally lay only 1 egg during the breeding season. The main items that the parents feed the young are snakes, but a nestling in this nest, located in a tropical strand forest in the Kenting National Park, is bolting down oodles of squiggly centipedes. Hatchlings of the birds of prey are born with their eyes open. The white down that they are born with helps to keep them warm. But they still need to snuggle up against an adult when it rains. They depend on the care of adults to keep them from experiencing hypothermia and possible death. "15 days after hatching, black feathers start to appear among the white ones on this young serpent eagle. After 10 more days, this little guy will sport a speckled coat of black feathers. The 3 hatchlings of the Besra sparrowhawk have started to change their looks. It also happened to these 2 nestlings of the crested goshawk. The nestling of the crested serpent eagle is destined for a life of solitude when it grows up. It will reach the size of adults in about 1 month. It will take about 1 month for the nestling to fledge. For the sparrowhawk, 1 month is long enough for their nestlings to be ready to leave the nest. The 3 young in this nest are pretty big. Their nest is getting just a tad snug, forcing them out onto nearby branches. In another few days, they'll be used to living on their own. Being raised without any siblings, the nestling serpent eagle owns the whole nest platform. This one is stretching its wings to hone its flying technique. After leaving the nest, the new member of the sky hangs around in the surrounding forests for a while, flying home occasionally for handouts, while waiting for its wings to be strong enough for soaring in the sky. The sovereign wings in the sky of Taiwan govern the forest and the sky, but not human beings. Nature Taiwan is a paradise for all kinds of wildlife, including birds of prey. Interference and destruction stemming from human activity have put the future of our friends in the sky in doubt. Poaching, commercial trading, environmental pollutants such as pesticides and insecticides cause the degrading of their habitat and threaten their very existence. The Taiwan Endemic Species Research Institute, under the Council of Agriculture, has carried out a battery of studies on the impact of habitat fragmentation on the birds of prey. The Wildlife First Aid Station also helps large numbers of injured and sick birds. This collared scops owl fell out of its nest before fledging. The black eagle has a broken wing. Some of these will recover after they receive the additional care they need. For example, this recovered crested serpent eagle is preparing to return to its rightful place. The skies over Taiwan. The only heavens where the predatory birds belong.